Welcome everyone to this explainer. Today we're diving into something super fascinating, how you can perfectly blend physical movement with mental focus in a child's daily routine. Because let's be honest, if you've ever tried to get a room full of kids, or even just one really energetic kid, to sit still and just breathe, you know it is a monumental task. But the approach we're looking at today completely cracks the code. It actually disguises incredible physical and mental exercises as an absolute blast.
It all kicks off with this simple, welcoming phrase. Welcome back, little yogis. It is so good to see you. And this isn't just your standard polite hello. It's a highly repetitive, intentional hook. Every single time a child hears this, it instantly signals a transition. It creates this beautifully defined, safe, yet energetic space where the child immediately knows what to expect. And that predictability just triggers their readiness to jump in and participate.
Okay, let's dive into this, because if you're a caregiver or an educator, this is literally the golden question. How in the world do we take that chaotic, bouncing off the walls childhood energy and channel it into something that builds real physical strength and deep mental focus? Well, you definitely don't do it by just telling them to calm down. You do it by getting louder and way more engaging than the chaos itself.
To capture all that energy, you basically have to demand participation right out of the gate. Check out this brilliant linguistic tool, the call and response dynamic. The instructor says, "I say reach," and the child immediately has to fire back, "You say hi." It is such a simple trick, but it completely secures their interactive engagement from second one.
And it keeps going. I say twist, you say side. By giving the child a really specific, predictable vocal job, you're actively preventing them from tuning out. They can't just sit there and passively watch you. They have to actively listen for their cue and yell it right back. It completely transforms a standard set of physical instructions into this high-stakes, highly entertaining game. And the game totally bleeds into the physical movements, too. We're talking rapid-fire, incredibly imaginative play here, a full-on silly zoo of transformations. One second they're tiny, loud tigers, the next they're wobbly, balancing flamingos, dropping into a cat and cow peekaboo, and then suddenly blasting off with rocket feet. The pacing is super bouncy, it's fast, and it keeps the kids constantly guessing what fun animal or object they get to embody next.
And this brilliantly illustrates what we call the core strategy here, the disguise. We aren't lecturing kids about doing a deep lunge or holding a spinal stretch. We're telling them to be the silly zoo. It connects their deeply imaginative play to real-world physical benefits. They're actually building core strength, balance, and flexibility, but it's completely disguised under the joyful premise of just pretending.
A massive piece of the puzzle here is the rhythm. Listen to these rhymes. Tiny paws, wiggly tail. Funny claws, squeaky claws. It's almost musical, right? The cadence is so catchy and rhythmic, it makes the physical instruction super sticky. The kids aren't just moving, they're moving to a beat, jumping like jumping beans with happy feet. It creates this unstoppable, fun momentum.
But here is where the real genius kicks in. Once you have them peaking at absolute maximum energy, you transition. You shift from that high exertion right into mindfulness. Breathe like a superhero. Just hearing that, you can almost feel the energy in the room start to settle down. We're moving away from the loud, bouncy zoo and stepping into a state of really focused, powerful stillness. Let's move to and see how this builds into a specific technique we call dragon breath. Because again, we aren't just telling them, hey, take a deep breath. We're giving them a vivid visual. Step 1, in through the nose. Step 2, blow it out slow like melting snow. You can literally picture the kids visualizing that hot dragon breath cooling down and melting a giant snowbank. It's just a highly effective, incredibly imaginative way to teach diaphragmatic breathing.
And as that breath starts to slow down, the entire routine just naturally begins to soften. Tiny toe wiggles. Notice how we're deliberately dropping into a much calmer, warmer tone right here. Those big, sweeping rocket arms from earlier, they're gone. Now they're replaced by these small, mindful connections to the very edges of their bodies.
Shoulders low. The delivery here forces the whole narrative to literally take a deep breath. It allows their little heart rates to finally come down. You're inviting the child to physically let go of all that tension they built up during the act of play, just letting those shoulders drop away from their ears, like a sleepy cloud.
Warm little glow. Here, we're really emphasizing the actual physical sensation of self-regulation. We're teaching kids to recognize exactly what it feels like when their nervous system finally relaxes. That warm little glow is the feeling of a calm, centered body. It's a stark and honestly wonderful contrast to being jumping beans just a few minutes ago.
This whole shebang serves a much larger purpose than just fitness. We're shifting away from just physical wellness and moving toward deep inner confidence. We are building the inner child. The goals here become profoundly emotional, creating peaceful bodies, maintaining a playful mind, learning how to cultivate quiet thoughts, and figuring out how to carry that sunny day feeling with them, literally no matter what happens next.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how empowering it is. I feel okay, I can choose a sunny day. This isn't just a cute affirmation, it's a full-on declaration of autonomy. It teaches the child that they have active, real control over their own mood and their emotional state. They aren't just at the mercy of their big feelings, they actually have the tools to choose their own outlook.
And as things wrap up, there's this really beautiful moment of physical gratitude. Whisper it light, "Thank you, body, you did great tonight." It is so incredibly grounding. It leaves the kids feeling completely calm, centered, and deeply proud of what they just accomplished. It really fosters a positive, loving relationship with their own physical selves.
So, the crucial point is captured perfectly right here in this mantra. We're strong, we're kind from head to toes. This is the core emotional takeaway of the whole thing. The routine proves to them that, yes, they are physically strong enough to be rocket ships and roaring tigers, but they are also mentally strong enough to be kind, peaceful, and calm. It perfectly bridges the physical and the emotional.
Which brings us to our final question for you to chew on. The blueprint is right here. By using call and response, imaginative play, and guided visual breathing, you can entirely shift a child's energy. So, how will you disguise mindfulness as a yoga party in your child's daily routine? Think about how you can use the silly zoo or dragon breath to turn moments of total chaos into moments of focused, joyful connection. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now go out there and bring that warm little glow into your day.